Okay, so question 1, describe all the transformations. So what has happened to this? So we're going to be using words like it flips, it narrows, it widens. So I'll just draw some things that could happen. It could do this, it could go wide, it could go narrow, it could move right or left, it could move up or down, those kinds of things. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Since you do have your calculator with you, we can just graph it and see. Okay, if you want, some of you might recognize some things that you predict. For instance, do we have our prediction with the 4 at the end? Do you remember which way that would go with the 4 at the end? I'm thinking that will make something move up 4. We see a negative. Do we know what that negative is going to do? Remember? Okay, so let's graph and we'll see, but I have some predictions in my head already what could happen. So y equals, so that's a negative sign. Okay, so I'm going to zoom option 6, because then it's just going to be a standard grid, a 10 by 10. Okay, so I can see it is flipped. It flipped upside down. Okay, I had that prediction in my head with the negative. Okay, this half multiplier affects its shape. What do you think? Do you think it's wider or narrow? So if you wanted to compare to just the x squared, this was the original shape. Does ours look like it got any narrower or wider because of the 1/2? It will have gotten wider. Just a little bit, it goes out. Okay, and where did we go 3? 3 what? Three in which direction did we go? 4 in what direction? So do you want to calculate the vertex maybe and see? So second, calculate the max. Left, right. So it's 3, 4. 3, 4. So 3 in what direction? 4 in what direction did we go? We did 3 right and up 4. 3 right, up 4. Okay? So that's the x part was 3 right and the y part is up 4. Okay, number 2, let's put that in. Oh, you know what? We can't type this in because we always have to have y equals. So what do I have to do to this? I'm going to have to move that. So if I have a subtract 8, I'm going to have to add 8. Okay, now I can type that in. Okay, that looks good. Ready, and we're going to graph. I can see it. All right. So under my graph here, that's what I see. Okay, everyone's good with that screenshot? That's what I see, and I put arrows on it when I graph because it will keep going and going and going. Okay, the vertex. So I need the coordinates of that point. Can you do that by calculate the second trace, get me a maximum. So the max, and then you'll want to move your mouse to the left, to the right. So move your mouse to the left, to the right. I got -2, 8. Okay, everyone's was working, the left, right. Okay, what is the slope? So what is the multiplier of this whole equation? Which number? The -3, the 2, or the 8? Which one looks like a multiplier? That should be the -3. So that's the slope. So which direction does it open? Because the slope is negative, it will open down, and we already saw that because we had our calculator. Okay, the axis of symmetry. So what's the equation of this line that would cut it? Down the center like that. So I need an x equals line. So x equals, what x value does it go right through? Does anybody know the x value right here? It should match the x value of that. So -2. Okay, domain. How far left to right? So where are these arrows heading? Left, right. So it keeps going on and on. Okay, range. So the range is the lowest. What's the lowest? Well, -infinity. To the highest height. What's the very top height? What's the highest this would go? 8. Okay, because that's where the vertex is. So that's the highest it goes. Okay, Y-intercept. So the next thing I want is this coordinate. So the Y-intercept, what do I already know? I know that it's going to have a 0 for the x. So how do I tell my calculator to do that? Okay, so I go to trace and I tell my calculator, move the mouse 0. I just hit 0, enter. 0, enter. So that's the coordinate, that's the Y-intercept, -4. Okay, next, what's the X-intercepts? So the X-intercepts, those are the X-intercepts. So how do I get them? We're going to go second calculate. And this time we want the 0. Okay, so I'm going to find this one. So I'm going to go left, enter, right, enter. So you see if you can get them both, left and right. Okay, did we match? I just did the left. So I kind of moved my mouse. I put my mouse here, left, and here, right. Something like that. Did you do that with your mouse? Okay, part 2 here. Am I good to move my screen? Did you get those numbers? Negative 3.63. Okay, question 2. Type it in. So y equals clear. Put this one in. And does yours look something like that? So there's my sketch of it. Okay, first question, vertex. So you're going to calculate on this one, it will be a minimum, right? So calculate a minimum. Move your mouse left and right. I got a 1, negative 4. If anybody matches that. Okay, slope. So the slope is, when I look at the equation, what's the multiplier? So the multiplier is how many x squareds? How many x squareds do you have? 1. You have 1. So the slope is 1. And if the slope is 1, it should open up. And we can obviously see that from our graph. Axis of symmetry. So what's the equation of this line? So x equals, it's always x equals, and which x value does it cut through? 1. It cuts through the 1. Okay, domain, left, right. So negative infinity to positive infinity. It keeps going. Range. What's the lowest? So this time, the lowest is specifically negative 4. That's the height. The lowest height is negative 4. To the highest height, which goes up, 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 up. Okay, next we need the Y-intercept. So for this, I'm gonna trace 0, right? I tell my mouse, hey, go to 0. So when it goes to 0, that is a negative 3. Does that match anything when I look at the equation? Does it match anything? Yeah, it matches that. Because if x is 0, that would be gone. Okay, and the x-intercepts. So can you find me these by doing a 0? So that's calculate a 0. So second, calculate. Make sure you're picking the 0, left, enter, right, enter. Okay, so this was all the basics of the quadratics that you need to know. Okay, when we graph, I can give you this after to take a picture of my paper. Or I can just give you my paper too. Okay, given this equation, what point is symmetric to the Y-intercept? So we actually, this is the one on the other page there. So this is on the other page, we did this, but do you remember when we did this typing, we had to do that? To type it in, we had to move the 8 part, and we've already graphed it, and that's what we saw. This is just from the other page here I'm doing. And we had a -2. So this is the graph from the other page, because we did this one. Okay, so now I want to know what point is symmetric. So it would be, what is this point? What is that point going to be then? That's the symmetric point. Okay, right now, I know that its height is -4. Right? Because they're always going to be flat with each other, right across from each other. And if I had my axis of symmetry in there, do you think you could figure out what's the x coordinate? So how much space is there between these 2 points? From here to here, how much space is there? There should be 2, right? From 0 to a -2. So what happens if you go 2 on a graph to that side? Sounds familiar to me. So what is the x value? Should be -4, right? Okay, so I'm just kind of thinking 2 that way, 2 that way. That's my thinking. So that's the coordinate, -4, -4. Okay, and then question 4. So we've already graphed this. This was the first page here. So that was the shape of our graph. And we had a vertex of 1, -4. Okay, so we graphed that already. That's what we had. So -2, 5 is over here. So if I want to get the symmetric point, what is that coordinate? Okay, so I already know it will have a y value of 5. Okay, so let me ask you, how much space is there? So from 1 to -2, what's the distance there? From a 1 to a -2, that's a distance of 3. So now, can you move 3 to the right? Okay, if you don't like that method, you can do this. So we have it on a graph. You can go y equals and do a 5. So now that was the coordinate -2, 5. So what's this one? So I'm going to calculate an intersection. I just have to make sure my mouse is closer to this. So enter, 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 and there's my coordinate, 4, 5. Okay, so you can do it that way too if you like the y2 intersection. Okay, without graphing this, does it have a min or a max? So basically, does it open up or down? And what are we looking at? How many x squareds do we have? We have a 3. So if our slope is 3, we are going to open up. If our slope is 3, we open up, which means our vertex is a, which one will we pick? We'll pick a minimum, right? And what is the y-intercept? So it's where x is 0. Where x is 0. And do you remember what happens? If x is 0, this and this would be gone. So what number are we going to get? -10. Okay, what is the a value on this equation? So remember, the a value will always be how many x squareds you have. It's not the first number. I'm trying to trick you. Some of you might have thought I'm going to answer 9 because this is how the equation is starting, but the answer is not 9. How many x squareds do you have? -2. So that would be the slope. The slope would be -2. This would be heading down. Okay, is it a quadratic equation or not? So basically, if I was to multiply this out, is it an x squared or not? So if you think about multiplying that out, would that be an x squared or not? Yes, because that times that will give me an x squared. Okay, if you are multiplying that out, do you think that would make an x squared equation? Yes, yes it will. There's an x times an x, that will make an x squared. Do you think this is a quadratic? Well, it has an x squared in it, but it has a cubed in it. So no. Because it has something bigger, that's what I have to look at. I have to always look at the biggest thing, so then it's not. And here, if I multiplied that through, no, that won't make an x squared. It will only make, I don't have anywhere where I'm doing an x times an x.